We are together today for an exciting announcement that comes in the midst of a very successful athletic year at St. Cloud State. Student athletes representing 6 different teams have won conference championships to date. We won 2 NCAA individual championships in men's diving and wrestling, and we have all followed the tremendous run by the Husky hockey team to the Frozen Four. In addition, we are sitting in an area of a renovation project that will redefine this building. Our press conference will begin with an announcement by St. Cloud State University President Earl Potter.
Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. We have been thinking about the step we're going to take today for many months in conversations with many people. And then when, and I know Bob wishes, as I do, that we held this McNaughton Cup by ourselves, we finished the season tied with the only other team in collegiate hockey that Herb Brooks ever coached. There was just something magical about that. And so today I want to announce that we are committing to name this facility the Herb Brooks National Hockey Center. When I interviewed, Sue Prout reminded me, when I interviewed for this presidency, I had researched St. Cloud State, and it was the presence of Herb Brooks, what he said about leadership and what he said about this university that struck me. And so I mentioned that in my interview for the presidency, long before the vision for this facility and the thought of honoring Herb Brooks' legacy in this facility ever came to us. He's been a connecting point for this university. He only coached here for 1 year, 1986 and 97, but he transformed not only hockey, but the vision for the future of this university in the hockey nation and in Minnesota. Husky athletics changed because Herb Brooks was here. He set the stage for Division I hockey. His team in that year completed the Division III era with a third-place finish in the NCAA championships for Division III. A foundation of pride and a sense of possibility that positioned the university well to step into the Division I college year the following year. In this era, there have been 2 coaches, Craig Dahl, who expressed his sorrow at not being able to be here today, and Bob Motzko, both of whom served as assistant coaches with Herb Brooks during their careers. He made a commitment to player development that was heartfelt, that I just think was really realized in the team this year. You know, Bob carries the same spirit and commitment, and he has said over and over again what a marvelous group of young men this team was. People of character. You know, I watched losing teams throughout the year, most of them losing to us. And the behavior changed in the third period when they were desperate, and there was some bad behavior, some unsportsmanlike conduct. And on those, thankfully, few occasions when we lost this year, you could see the character and the spirit of our folks. They played a professional, serious, sportsmanlike game to the end, pressing hard, their hearts in the game, and a very special demonstration of character. The National Hockey Center, well, this place was envisioned by Herb to create a place that was welcoming for the community, that embraced the fans of this community. And it didn't get finished because the university ran out of money in 1991 when it was built. And the vision for this facility existed a long time ago. I remember driving by Herb Brooks Way out front with Tim Pawlenty, Governor Pawlenty, as we were sort of laying out our case for investment in St. Cloud, the year we got everything we put forward in the bonding bill. And he said, he looked at the front of this building, he said, "Who designed that?" And I said, "Well, Governor, you know, it wasn't designed that way. It was designed to be different, but we ran out of money and we made do, and it served us well. And we've reached the end of the time when it serves us well, and this building carries that spirit and that vision that was born a long time ago." Herb Brooks saw Division hockey as important to the state of Minnesota and also to central Minnesota. We see it the same way. This is a facility that, although it's a state facility, it is the people's facility. It belongs to the people of Minnesota. And I think there is no better name to have on this facility than the Herb Brooks name. He was a man of the people. He wanted this to be a place for people. My barber, who has a shop just on the corner of University and 9th Avenue, was a place that Herb used to visit. My barber tells me that after a bad day at practice, Herb would come in, rant and rave for 15 minutes, say, "I'm okay," and leave. He didn't get a haircut, but that was the place he went to talk about his feelings that day. He was a visionary, and he elicited the best out of every player. And there's one right here, Mike Brzezinski, who knows that. Herb created connections between people and ideas, and St. Cloud State is a place that connects people and ideas. We have a vision for this university. You can see it come alive as you drive throughout campus today. This is our new front door, and I am very proud to share the news with you that this is the Herb Brooks National Hockey Center. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's great to be there. I watched that video for the first time yesterday, and I was 12 years old and was fortunate enough to be in Lake Placid. And just seeing that video yesterday and hearing Al Michaels' voice come in the first 30 seconds, I got the chills. And I don't know about you people here, but every time I see that final countdown, I get the chills. It's a great day. It's an honor to be here. It's a humbling experience to be here. A true honor to be not only at St. Cloud State, to be next to, standing this close to the McNaughton Cup. I was fortunate enough to play in the WCHA, played for the University of Denver from '86 to '90. It was my dad's first year, or his only year when he was here. And believe me, this is the closest I've ever gotten to the McNaughton Cup. And so congratulate Coach Motzko on an absolutely phenomenal year. President Potter, again, humbled and honored. Words, I just can't put in words what it means to me and our family. My mother would have loved to be here. She's actually down in Florida visiting her best friend, Gretchen Mariucci, John's wife, who isn't doing well, and her husband, Steve Badalich, who isn't doing well. But we sent the video down, and she watched it on her iPad and showed it to Gretchen and Steve Badalich. And the first thing Gretchen says, "My God, Danny looks just like Herbie." And then my mom said, "Well, thank goodness that he has my personality." So it was a magical year that year. Again, that was my freshman year at the University of Denver, and it's like I said in the video. My dad's accomplishments in hockey throughout his career, are extraordinary. And, spending so much time with him and talking hockey, in all sincerity, I really felt that year, that single year, he was his happiest. Prior to that, he coached the New York Rangers and had to deal with, the richest team in the NHL. He had to deal with general managers. He had to deal with the New York media. He had to deal with huge egos and agents and contracts. And then prior to that, the University of Minnesota, the pressure to win national championships. Here he had a clean slate, and he could be an artist, and it's like an artist with a blank canvas. And he was very fortunate enough to inherit a great team led by Mike Brzezinski. And you know, I used to talk to him while I was away at school, and I could just hear the tone of his voice, how happy he was to be in that element. And you know, Mike and his teammates, Mike was a great leader, and I really think if he were alive today, if you look at some of the great captains that he had, you know, Mike Aruzioni, Craig Hartsburg, Pat Fippen, Joey Micheletti, Jaromir Jagr, I really think that he would say that Mike was one of his favorite players he ever coached. So, Mike, thanks for coming, and thanks for that great year. So, again, thank you very much from the Brooks family, from my mother and my sister Kelly. Again, it's just an honor to be here in St. Cloud, and I'm looking forward to you know, another great season next year, Bob.
I'll tell one Herb story. This is a personal one. When Herb was a no-nonsense, loved to fight, he loved to battle, and if he got in your grill, you knew that he liked you. So years after I'd left St. Cloud, and he's jump-started my coaching career. I was probably 10 years later, he was scouting for Pittsburgh, and I was coaching the Sioux Falls Stampede, and we were a pretty good team in Sioux Falls that year. We were right near the top of the league, and we had the best power play in the league, and I think we were on a stretch. It was late in the year, and I know like a 5-on-3 power play, we were on a stretch for like a month. For every 5-on-3, we were like 10 for 10. We were on a great run. And this game, and you know, it might be a year or two where I would not see Herb, then you'd bump into him in the rink again, but we had a 5-on-3 power play and we didn't score. And it's between periods, and we had a curtain. We didn't have a real nice locker room. Our owners wouldn't give us a great locker room. It's an inside joke right here. But we had a curtain, and there was a head poking out of the curtains, just waving at me with this mean face. And it's Herb, and I hadn't seen him in a couple of years, and of course you go running. I go running out there, and he grabs a piece of paper. He goes, "What in the hell are you doing?" And he starts sprinting. "You got to put this guy over there. You got to put that guy over there. You got to change it right now and go do it." And he walks away. And I didn't bother to tell him, "Wait a minute here, coach. We're in first place right now. We're 10 for 10 on our last." But I think I went back in and changed it no matter what. You had to listen to him. But I think a lot of what I'd like to mention right now is connecting the dots. And some have already been connected. Mike Brodzinski. And Mike, you can stop crying for Christ's sakes. I mean, I'm sorry, but he's been crying since he stood up here. One of the toughest guys I've ever played with, brought to tears. But it's about connecting the dots. And I've told a story after I got hired here at St. Cloud State. When I would do some public speaking, I would tell a story about how I envisioned Herb getting here. And Bill Radovich is here, and I've always used Bill Radovich as in the story, and was the vice president, and I think the godfather of turning this thing over to Division I hockey. And Bill, I make the story up, so you're going to bust me right now. You know, you take 1986. You know, we're 6 years past the 80 Olympic team. Herb Brooks is Herb Brooks. He'd walk in a room and you couldn't hear a pin drop. And the coach at the time, and I played here when it was Division III, was John Perpich leaves, and we have a coaching opening. And I always wonder who came up with the idea. We have a coaching opening. Herb just left the New York Rangers, so he's out of a job. This is before cell phones. Let's call Herb Brooks. And I've always said it was you, Bill, and don't change it. Let's just go with the story. Let's call him up. And there's no cell phones, and you can just imagine, you know, someone has to call Herb Brooks. We have a coaching opening. And, you know, I've always envisioned that it's an answering machine. This is Bill Radovich, St. Cloud State. Or Danny answers the phone. Is your dad there? And so who was crazy at that time? Was it Bill or was it Herb who took the phone call? And, you know, and I think memory from what I hear was only like $30-some thousand they had to pay. I'll come up and take a look. And to think that that's what this guy did, where he has time in his life and a fight. Talk about the fight, and this is what I believe the fight was. The fight was Michigan had 7 Division I programs, and Massachusetts had a pile, and I think he hated that, and that there had to be room for more. And so that is how I envision that story in my eyes, that that a couple of crazy guys got together, and they found their way together, and he said, this is the right school, we can do it here. And that's how it was born. And I don't know, I hope that's how the story went, because it sounds good, but I'm sure it's not much different than that. And he ends up here, and what happened from that point on is we've had NHL players, Olympians, All-Americans. We've had a Hobie Baker winner now, and Drew LeBlanc. We should clap on that, doggone it. We've had doctors and teachers and businessmen and crying sporting good owners. They're sitting right in front of us. And it led then, so successful, yes, and out of it came this building. And then Mankato State goes Division I. That's connecting the dots. Who coaches Mankato State? Mike Hastings. Well, the first recruiting classes here at St. Cloud State when they went Division I. Bemidji State adds Division I hockey. Who's coaching Bemidji State? Tom Saratori, 5-year assistant coach here at St. Cloud State. And I think as you look at our state and the fabric of Division I athletics and the Division I hockey, those dots connect back to Herb Brooks and how fortunate we were. And you think in the last 5 years, 4 Minnesota universities have made the Frozen Four. And it's not a fluke. It wasn't a fluke that Bemidji made it, and it sure wasn't a fluke that we made it. And it's going to continue to happen. And now you see the buildings and how they're becoming. And hockey could not be at a better place in our state, and it connects back to Herb Brooks. And then you think of this building, that the thousands and thousands of hockey players from around the United States, from all over the United States, through USA Hockey, through Minnesota Hockey, through youth hockey programs throughout the entire state, their parents, their grandparents, and the fans that are going to attend this building. And it is an honor for us, Dan, that your family has honored us to use your father's name, or to honor your father with this building. And it is our hope that it's just not metal words that we're going to put out on the front, that this is a memorial to a man that meant so much to this state and to this university. And it's just a complete honor that we're going to be able to carry forward all those dots that have connected for the next 50 years and beyond, that we're going to be able to tell a story about Herb Brooks. Thank you.
But, well, I think in a word, this season, 2 words. This season, the signals that something special was happening. You know, this building has been a tough project. Went through 4 years of uncertainty with the MMB and the IRS and the legal arrangements to build the building and fund it. People started with us excited and endured with us through the ups and downs. And this is just a year in which the stars aligned and it was clear that it was time. I think through all of this, we as a team, Brian Schoenborn, who leads the fundraising effort, and Bob and his coaches who are talking to former players about supporting the building, and our development staff, Bob Beamer in the back and Kurt Stelton, who heads this program, and with a new AD who's bringing new life and spirit to the program. When you dig deep and look at what matters, we wanted to put a name on the building that had significance for our history and in our identity and in what's important for the state of Minnesota. And it's time. It's our time. And it's time to put Herb Brooks' name on the building. Well, you know, we're about $1.5 million from fully funding the first phase. And we're in conversations that'll bring that home by the time the ribbon cutting for phase 1 is done. Phase 1 is delivers the greatest hockey value in terms of the overall design. Phase 2 delivers the event center, performance center value. And in our conversations with folks who have the ability to give several $1 million, we have changed the approach from thinking of one major naming prospect to a group of sponsors who align themselves with the identity and the significance of this building and the program. 4 pillar sponsors and 1 gold medal sponsor that we will develop, that we will continue to talk to and develop for the second phase to bring the whole $30 million project home. So the relationships we have with people who understand the value of the sport of hockey to this state, to our students and our communities, the thought of being aligned with the Herb Brooks name makes their eyes light up. So we determined that we would not seek to put a commercial name up front, but put the Herb Brooks name up front and have people join us in this endeavor. I think it's a solid strategy. It means that phase 1 will be accomplished by the community. It's St. Cloud State alums and members of this community who are making phase 1 work. And phase 2 will reach more broadly and are in conversation now with a number of potential partners.
President Potter just mentioned how it makes people's eyes light up. For Coach Motzko, your record speaks for itself here when it comes to recruiting. But will this give you an advantage, having this type of building, that name on the front, when it comes to getting more kids into St. Cloud State University? Not just from a university standpoint, not just hockey, but people who want to be part of it.
You know what, Jeff? I don't know if advantage is the right word. Someone was asked me that the other day about like winning recently, and I said, well, if I said it's going to make us better, that's disrespect to the kids that we had this year that got us to where we are, and we've been doing a pretty good job getting players. I think what it does right now, and we'll answer that more in the future, but it just, with the success that this team had, and we're going forward with this great project, that it validates you know, everything that the university has done with this program, and for all the players that chose to come here, for this family that chose to send their son here, that that we're keeping up with what's going on in the country, that we're doing the right things to keep our place and get better. Do I hope it helps? Yeah, I hope everything helps that we're doing, but. It was just I'm just more right now, it was the right thing to do. It was just right. And like I graduated from here as you when it was Division III, and I feel like my degree's more important today for what we're doing. And I'm just happy to be a part of this thing, I can tell you that.
I see Dan nodding a little bit. Your proof of what your dad was about, that it went way beyond hockey. You and your sister achieved success and been involved in a variety of things throughout the state when it comes to helping other people out. Speak how your dad might have thought of this from an academic standpoint, kids who are looking for a school to latch on.
Yeah, he, I think what really lit his fire. I tell the story, he was a player. He, played for the University of Minnesota. He actually, coming out of St. Paul Johnson High School, he had a full scholarship to go to Michigan, or like a quarter scholarship to go to the University of Minnesota. He elected to take the quarter scholarship and work his way to pay the three-quarter scholarship for one reason, that's to play for John Mariucci. And so when he graduated, he was probably, in the early 60s, he was probably the top 5 or 10 U.S. hockey player in the nation. And that being said, it was absolutely unheard of that he would ever have a chance to play in the National Hockey League. Now, if you're a top 5 or 10 amateur hockey player, you're going to be not only play in the NHL, you're probably going to be a superstar and make, $8 million a year. So, it kind of lit that's what lit his the flame underneath him to be all about the U.S. hockey player. and the college player. His other passion was the Olympics, and he played in 2 Olympics, 64 and 68, and I think they finished 7th and 8th in both of those Olympics, and they were being just manhandled by the Soviets and the Czechs and the Swedes and the Finns, and so he was a U.S.-born hockey player, and University of Minnesota, he had all Minnesota kids, obviously all American kids, and Mariucci, if you look at his track record, there was a period when he coached University of Minnesota, he refused to play against Denver, Murray Armstrong's team, because they had 22-year-old Canadians who were basically professionals at the time. So it was all about the American, it was all about the college player, he just felt that St. Cloud could offer just another vehicle for that kid, that Minnesota kid, or that kid from somewhere. So what would he think? He'd be absolutely ecstatic. I've in the last couple of weeks, everyone, not everyone, but I've been getting a lot of calls from people saying, would your dad have been surprised about the success of St. Cloud? And having a Hobie Baker, and I said, absolutely not. I mean, he believed from day one. That first year you guys were independent Division I. I mean, he believed that you guys, Bob, were going to be a huge success. And so he would be, humbled, happy. You pick the word. It's it's an honor. He like I said in that video, like I said on the podium, he loved that year. He loved the city of St. Cloud. President Power, you hit the nail on the head. He was a man of the people. I was talking to my sister about, now it's going to be called the Herb Brooks Arena. Let's try to get some of his stuff, whether it's jerseys, trophies, medals, whatever, up here. And Kelly and I were talking. I says, well, he doesn't really have that much because all the stuff he won over the years, he gave it away. He gave it to the Zamboni driver. He gave it to the janitor. I mean, there's Zamboni drivers and janitors out there with some really good stuff. And I wish I could get it back. But that was him. Again, President Power hit the nail. He was a man of the people, and the story about him going into a ranting and raving, that was him. That was him. So, anyways, long answer, but he's smiling, Jeff. He really is.
The big thing, I'll go back to that year when Herb Brooks was coming here. It was told to us that he was going to just be a figurehead. There was a rumor leaking around that he was just going to come up a few days during the week, and he was trying to get this thing to go Division I. And Craig Dahl was the one that I came in, and I asked Craig could I get on the staff, and so he talked to Herb, and they let it happen. And I don't think anyone really knew what was going to happen until it did. But I can tell you, he was not a figurehead. He was here. He was the first one here in the morning and the last one to leave. And Mike will tell you, there wasn't a day that he didn't put everything he had into this. He coached that hockey team. And you're just a young guy, and he walked on water. I mean, we were just guest listeners when he was in the room, but he empowered us all with responsibility to help in every possible way, and he was just meticulous on detail. He was hard on the players. He was very hard on them, but he kind of, I got to go back, but he truly loved them. I mean, you could tell that he as hard as he was on them, that meant he liked you. I really believe that, and it was a big influence on me because I had no idea that I was going to go into coaching until that year, and the rest is history for me that I got into it.
President Potter, maybe you can talk about St. Cloud being firmly put on the map now. Not just because of the success of the hockey team, but the naming of the arena, that when many people around the country hear St. Cloud State University, they're going to know a little something about it, at least.
I was having dinner in a place called the Old Ebbett Grill that's about a block and a half away from the White House, and was surprised to see a WCHA game on the television. One of the waiters was particularly attentive, and as it turns out, the waiter had played for the University of Maine and spent a little time with the Boston Bruins. and knew St. Cloud well and told me about our team. There's a lot of evidence. I was flying through the airport in Amsterdam, and there's Gibby coming back from a recruiting trip. I mean, this global presence. We have a great business school, and we are building a new science building that is going to produce some contributors to the Minnesota economy that are going to knock your socks off. We've got entrepreneurs who built firms like NativeX, and we fill Geocom's employee rosters with a lot of our graduates. And Brian Myers will tell you that they're a pretty good source of employees for Capital One. But across the country, what people know is that we've got a great hockey team. It raises the name, it carries our identity, and it suggests to people that this is a first-class university. There must be other good stuff here too, and that's the truth. So it's a hallmark day for St. Cloud State University and this community to have this recognition and to be privileged, I think, and honored by the family's willingness to let us carry Herb's name. We have earned the right to put the name of a great leader on this building, and I'm grateful to the family.
Thank you all for being here.